Welcome to the WP Builds podcast, bringing you the latest news from the WordPress community. Now, welcome your hosts, David Wormsley and Nathan Wrigley.
Hello there and welcome to the WP Builds podcast once again. This is episode number 191, entitled If You Need Maps on Your WordPress Website, MapsMarker Has You Covered. It was published on Thursday, the 6th of August 2020. My name's Nathan Wrigley, and before we begin, just a few bits of housekeeping. We produce a lot of content in and around the WordPress space, and I'd very much appreciate it if you felt able to share it. If you want to share it over on Twitter, use @WPBuilds, and if you don't know how to share it, perhaps the easiest way is to go over to the website WPBuilds.com, find any episode, and underneath the player are a series of buttons, and you can use those. We seem to have a lot of impact when people share it on Apple Podcasts, because that seems to be the place where a lot of our audience reside. So if you want to go and give us a review over there, give us a 5-star review, would be enormously welcome. If you want to keep in touch with everything that we do, go to wpbuilds.com/subscribe. Over on that page, you're going to find a few forms. One to keep you updated when we produce content, and one to keep you updated every time we hear about a WordPress deal. There's also options on there to join our Facebook group of over 2,600 very friendly WordPressers. We have a deals page as well. That's over at wpbuilds.com/deals. I keep saying it's a bit like a Black Friday deals page, but it's there every day of the week. If you're in the market to buy something WordPressy this week, hosting, plugins, themes, and so on, go check it out. There's quite a lot of coupon codes that you can make use of. We've also got a jobs page, which is new. You can find that at wpbuilds.com/jobs. It's just got some placeholders at the moment because I was setting it up and just wanted to see if it would work. But if you know of a WordPress job that comes up, please go and submit it over there, and we'll try to make sure that it gets in front of a WordPress specific audience. We will not be charging for that, so it seems like a decent way of doing it. Another thing that you could do is sponsor the podcast. If you like listening to this, we have advertising options. We do banner ads on our WordPress website. We also do banner ads in our emails that we send out, but we also do little audio ads, a bit like this one. The WP Builds podcast was brought to you today by A/B Split Test. Do you want to set up your A/B split tests in record time, like in a couple of minutes? Use your existing pages and test anything against anything else. Buttons, images, headers, rows, anything. And the best part is it works with Elementor, Beaver Builder, and the WordPress block editor. You can check it out and get a free demo at absplittest.com. Okay, just before we start, I will mention what it is that we actually produce. Each week we produce a podcast. You're listening to it now. That comes out on a Thursday. And then on a Monday, we produce 2 bits of content. The WP Builds weekly WordPress news, which comes out very early in the morning UK time. If you subscribe to the podcast, you'll be getting it each and every week. And then we do a live show at wpbuilds.com/live and in our Facebook group. And I'm joined each week by some notable WordPress guests. And it's great fun interacting with the comments and having a chat all about WordPress. I've also been doing a series on a Tuesday with Sabrina Zidane, all about 0 to 10k installs of a WordPress plugin. It's been really good fun. We've been trying to figure out how we might take our WordPress plugins and get them in front of a larger audience. So if you're in that journey as well, come and join us. Again, it's live and you can join in with some comments. Okay, enough of the housekeeping. Let's get on with today's episode. So today, as I said at the top of the show, I'm speaking with Robert Harm. He is the creator of MapsMarker, which is a truly comprehensive plugin for putting maps on your WordPress website. And when I say truly comprehensive, I really do mean it. You've probably had the need to put maps on your website before, but this really does take things to the next level. Every single configuration option you could imagine with every kind of mapping solution out there is available in this plugin. Since we recorded the podcast, he has actually updated it. He's added some new features and some new optimizations, so that's worth noticing. He's also decided to offer 10% off any package for the first month that the podcast is out, and we're releasing it on the 6th of August. So by my reckoning, if you use the code WPBuilds, all uppercase, no spaces, before the 6th of September 2020, you'll be able to get yourself 10% off any package. Anyway, for those of you with maps needs, listen to this podcast, have a look at MapsMarker, and I hope that you enjoy the episode. Hello there, thank you for joining us on the WP Builds podcast. We are on an interview episode this week. We like to mix it up. We have all sorts of interesting interviews in our back catalogue, and I was just talking to the person that's on today, and it kind of amazed me to find out that in our whole entire catalogue of 160, 170 episodes, something like that, we've never talked about maps. So we're about to change that because I've got Robert Harm on, and we're going to talk about maps today. Hi, Robert.
Hi, Nathan.
It's an absolute pleasure having you on.
Great to be on your podcast.
Yeah,
too.
no, you're very, very welcome. I think this is a really interesting subject, and it's certainly one that, although it's going to sound peculiar, it's something that I'm really into, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But Before we begin, this episode is centered largely around a plugin that Robert's very much involved in called MapsMarker, and you can find that at mapsmarker.com. There's nothing peculiar about the spelling, and there's no hyphens or anything like that. So mapsmarker.com, and maybe have a look at that whilst we're going through the episode, or bookmark it and look at it later. Just to give you my background with maps, I'm sure like everybody else who's built WordPress websites, we've had to at some point implement a very straightforward map. We may have gone over to Google and copied and pasted a little snippet of code and stuck a map on there. Or we might have done something a little bit more adventurous and tried to put a map with various different updated locations, the schools in a certain area. And in a sense, that's what your plugin tries to make easy for us. But let's rewind the clock a little bit first, if you don't mind. Let's go through your origin story.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
Tell us about this.
Well, thanks a lot for the introduction. Well, as you said, I started building MapsMarker years ago. Actually, the origin started in 2011. I've always been a WordPress developer in some way, building websites and trying to build my own first plugins. And in 2011, I actually attended the Open Government Data Hackathon in the city of Vienna, where I live in Austria. And I got introduced to a new JavaScript mapping library called Leaflet.js, which I didn't know before. And as I was doing several WordPress projects at that time, I was curious whether there was a WordPress plugin with leaflet support available. Well, I actually found a rudimentary one that I could build upon to actually try to display the open government maps of Vienna as part of the actual hackathon challenge that was taking place at the time. And after a few hours, I actually thought, hey, if I can implement the maps for Vienna, I could actually implement OpenStreetMap too, because Leaflet was actually built for displaying OpenStreetMaps with a lightweight JavaScript framework, and this could be actually useful for the rest of the world. So, so I started developing the free version of our plugin, and was very overwhelmed by actually a positive response, and the user community grew very fast. And so for the next 1.5 years, I built the free version very intensely, and then as the feedback was good, I thought, hey, why not give it a try and see if you can build a pro version as based on a freemium model. And then, then actually I developed about 1 year about the first pro version, and in 2000 it has been so long ago, in January 2013, actually the first release was published, and we have then grown and ever improved the plugin since. So but I think what might be interesting to your readers and to you is maps in many context, we think about Google Maps when we think about maps, because Google is a big player, and lots of plugins, mapping plugins, focus on this using Google Maps because it's easy to use, to build a plugin and to connect to the APIs and display basic locations and so forth. Our plugin is different here because, as I said before, we're using Leaflet.s, which actually was built for OpenStreetMap. So we actually added Google support later in the process. And the main difference is that we can connect to different kind of maps, starting from OpenStreetMap, Google Maps, Bing Maps, Here Maps, Tomtom Maps, or any map that is available by VMTS, so-called VMTS mapping services. So that gives you real flexibility in which map you want to display and how you want to style it, and also more importantly in the context of as Google changed their terms of services last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, it feels like it was 2 years. Yeah.
You might remember the discussion that displaying maps on a website can get very expensive because they increase the price really a lot, and you have to give the credit card to Google and get $200 of free transaction volume in exchange. And if you over this amount, you automatically get billed. And this was the moment when many mapping users looked for an alternative solution, and there our plugin could play its strength, as we say, okay, you don't have to use Google. We're not depending on it, neither on displaying the maps, nor, and this is the second USB, neither on the geocoding side, because when you want to build a map, you need geocoding. You need to translate an address into coordinates to actually display a point on a map. And most other plugins also use Google for this, and this has some drawbacks. The quality is good, but there's some license issues, and also the cost aspect is important here. And so we said we don't want to be dependent on one player, and we built a geocoding framework which allows you to use different geocoding providers which you can select and which best fits your needs. So we have, of course, Google optionally, Algolia places. We have our own geocoding provider. We have MapQuest and other providers, which, or Tomtom, which you can dynamically select and say, oh, I want to geocode my addresses with this provider.
Yeah.
It might also have better qualities according to your need.
Yeah. Are you a proponent? Do you kind of advocate for, let's say, OpenStreetMap from a sort of a philosophical point of view? Do you have a position on the fact that the data is maintained in a different way and gathered in a different way and available in a different way? Do you feel there's an importance in that?
Yeah, I do. As I mentioned before, actually the plugin has its origin in the open government movement, where I'm very active also, apart from the plugin. And I believe that data being open, also publicly available data being open, is an important issue. Personal data needs to be protected, but non-personalized data should be open and should be reusable easily, because it adds a lot of you can get a lot of benefits out of it. And OpenStreetMap is also an example because everyone can contribute to it. And if you compare the different maps, I see it in my neighborhood. I like to go into near the Danube in Vienna. The nature is very great there. And if you compare the maps on Google with OpenStreetMaps, you don't have the hiking paths, for example. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And this is the power of OpenStreetMap, and this is also why we have this as default setting, that everyone who makes a new map normally gets OpenStreetMap as default value, and we try to we try to foster this, and because it's great having the power of the crowd to improve things.
I did know about the sort of crowdsourced nature of OpenStreetMaps, but I confess I didn't really know too much about how that's gathered and whether or not there are huge areas of the world where that crowdsourcing has kind of not materialized, and there's just big holes in the map. I wonder. I know that we're sort of going slightly off topic and not really talking about your plugin per se, but it's still interesting. Is that the case? Can you rely upon the OpenStreetMap data to be as up to date, let's say, for example, as Google Maps? Does it get maintained and curated, and are there out there in the wild people who take the time to update it and maintain their local areas and whatnot?
Yeah, there are, at least in the large cities, of course, naturally. There's the local meetups of OpenStreetMap fans who are also making, I don't know how it's called, events where they gather and update the maps, and the quality is really good. And in our plugin, for example, we try to support this with a small link on OpenStreetMap. You can actually add also to your map is say edit, and you then get linked to the edit page of OpenStreetMap if you find something, that's not correct, and you can direct link to the page where you can edit it. So
that's absolutely fascinating. Is it kind of like a Wikipedia model? Anybody can edit, but it then has to be kind of approved at some higher moderator level. And
there's some kind of moderation, of course, and with trust and reputation to get quality high.
Really interesting. I honestly didn't know that all of this went on. Let's turn our attention to your particular take on all of this, though. So, as I said, if you go to MapsMarker.com, you'll actually see a logo which says Pro. So we'll come on to the Pro feature in a moment. But so we've all been there. We're all kind of building WordPress websites, and we have a need for maps. A very simple copy and paste exercise if you use Google, but your map allows us to do much more difficult and complicated things. And I'm wondering if we could maybe just run through the main features, the things that you are proud of in your plugin, and the kind of things that you can achieve with it.
Okay, very much. Our slogan is, so we are trying to work hard on delivering the best mapping solution for WordPress, helping you to share your favorite spots and tracks. So we want to provide our users with an intuitive and user-friendly interface for organizing their spots and tracks within WordPress, and without having to code any line, PHP or JavaScript. So that's the main goal. And as I already mentioned, the two of the main USPs is the multi-map support, which you can use Google, OpenStreetMap, Bing Maps, Tomtom, Here Maps, or other maps, and the geocoding engine. This is what makes us really different from other mapping plugins. But beside that, as Leaflet itself, that is a very powerful JavaScript framework, we build lots of features around this framework, which I think interesting and can be really useful to anyone who has a website and needs to display more than just one place or location on his site. For example, we have a clustering feature. If you have lots of markers, like say 40 or 50,000, it's also no problem displaying that much markers and clustering them into bubbles. So it's to get a better overview of high volume data. You can you can organize your data. We call them markers into different categories. Like say you have schools, hospitals, supermarkets, and then toggle the visibility by control box, for example. We have a dynamic list of additional map data. Usually at the bottom of the map, you can search and list. You can search and sort, like show me the markers which are near me, for example, distance from current position as one criteria, or sort them by name or created, for example.
Right.
That is something. Then another thing that is different we put a lot of energy in, let's say this way, is GPS tracks. There's a lot of need, as we discovered from hikers or from travelers who want to display their tracks or their running tracks or their travel routes on a map, as there are lots of devices which collect this data, and you then get a so-called GPX file, and you can upload this file to the map, and it's displayed automatically. You can customize it and also display an elevation chart to show, example, if you like go on a mountain, you have a very good display of your last hike, for example.
Yeah.
This is. If I may continue, I still have some more. But
please carry on. I'm looking at the map now, actually, and everything that you say, I'm thinking, okay. I see it. I see it there.
We have a feature called Polyline Support. This is for, on the one hand, you can draw directly on the map. You can use geometry layers like polylines, polygons, circles, or rectangles to actually draw on the map. And with the next release, we also add polyshape import capability to make this a bit more understandable. There are a lot of sites, for example, who display the polylines of country outlines.
Right.
You can download them in GeoJSON format and then upload them, and you have them displayed on your map as an overlay, and then you can add your points on top of that too. So it really gives you flexibility to get predefined shapes, import them, and display them on the map too, like surroundings or buildings, to mark objects on a map. That's to make supports this. Next one, which is also which people usually like a lot, is the geolocation show and follow feature. We use HTML5 default feature to show the position of the current user showing the map, viewing the map, and display, for example, the maps, the markers which are near his current position.
Okay.
This is a feature, and then we have a lot of we try to focus on lots of details and on different use cases. As we say, usually you log in and add your data manually on the backend by filling in the form, an address, and just point and click, and you're done. But sometimes we have advanced use cases, and for those we have import and export, a feature which allows you to prepare your data in CSV or XLS files, and then import those files. If you have hundreds of markers you need to get into your website, this is supported by an import tool. We also have tools to update lots of features lots of markers at once. And for those who need advanced features, because that's also something we try to implement from the beginning, is we have advanced APIs, a database API, for example, which allows you to connect your third-party application to update markers from an external source. For example, if you have let's say a Raspberry Pi who collects data and you send post requests to the API, you can also update or add new markers this way. So it's a really powerful, flexible solution also to get custom and to support custom application use cases. Let's say 2 more, and then I think we can. Languages is also translations is very important to get the connects to OpenStreetMap, which we talked before earlier. When I started, I invited the OpenStreetMap community to help with translations, because it was a win-win situation. They were glad they had a tool which could display OpenStreetMap more easily to WordPress powered sites, and so over the time we got about 46 translations, which is really great. And this is also something that we're very proud of. We have over 100 translators helping to update those, and this helps to make the plugin usable to non-speaking English-speaking users also. And so this is also some highlights. Perhaps have some.
I can certainly ask a lot of questions around this. I think probably because it's a very visual thing, a map, isn't it? It's one of the more difficult things to explain on an audio podcast. It would obviously lend itself much more to looking at. So a moment ago I said go to MapsMarker.com, but perhaps more beneficial for those people who are listening and are able to get to a screen would be to click on the demo link in the main menu, which actually takes you to a subdomain. It's taking you to demo.mapsmarker.com, and there you'll be able to immediately see everything that Robert's talking about. So for example, by default, I'm actually going to quickly refresh that page because I think I may have interacted with it and changed certain permutations.
It resets every 30 minutes. So
okay. So we're looking at a map here, and for demonstration purposes, there's a whole bunch of data on there. So as an example, I can see the usual the elevation is it's like a flat map. It's an OpenStreetMap with the colors that OpenStreetMap has, but overlaid onto the top of that are the controls. So you've got the ability to zoom in, zoom out, go full screen. You can, with a layers toggle on the right hand side, you can switch the provider of that map. So with a click of a button, I could go, for example, straight into the satellite view that Google provides, or I could go into the terrain view that Stamen provides, or use a Tomtom map or what have you, or black and white in OpenStreetMap and so on. And then you've got the typical things like the little clusters, as you called them, where there's a sort of it almost looks like it's throbbing, a little thing saying, look, there's 4 somethings over here, and should I click on that 4 somethings, the map intuitively zooms in and those 4 things are spread out over the map, and I can see what they are. Nice that you've got the capability in the plugin to change the icon, so rather than sticking with the very typical...
Perhaps if I may say something about this. Icon is an important thing, and this is why some years ago we made a partnership with the Map Icon Collection, which we now host, as they had issues with the former provider. And under mapicons.mapsmarker.com, you get free access to more than 1,000 icons you can download and customize according to your needs. It's compatible with MapsMarker out of the box, of course, but it can be also used in any other maps. So we don't limit this to our plugin, but we have about more than 1,000. There are about 100 popular icons included in the map, and if you need more, you just go to mapicons.mapsmarker.com, and you can download from more than 1,000 different icons,
that is
different
nice.
colors and stuff.
Yeah, that is nice. I mean, the ones that I'm seeing are so self-explanatory. You've got what looks like a blackboard, a chalkboard, which is this is a school, and there's a hospital icon with a big red cross on it, and then there's a start and finish one, and so on. And yeah, the idea of clustering is really useful. I mean, I've built several kind of real estate sites, as we call them, or estate agents is actually what we call them in the UK, where houses are spread over a map, and you want to zoom in and see where those houses are, and it just becomes increasingly easy with these clustering to sort of, okay, there's a whole bunch over there and so on. But underneath this map we also have, as you said, the sort of elevation view, which I think is quite ingenious, plus like a little list of all the things which are currently on the map, and I'm guessing that's dynamic, is it? So that when I click on a particular thing, those bits underneath the map, do they change as well?
Yeah, you can click on the items in the list, and the map centers on this marker. This is one feature, and you on the right you have a sort feature. As I said before, you can sort them by different criteria like name, address, and so forth. And regarding the elevation chart, one more thing, you can hover with the mouse in the elevation chart, and you see the actual position on the map.
Oh, that is nice. I didn't play with that. I'm going to zoom out and do that properly. Oh, yes. Look at that. So I'll describe it. There's a journey. So there's a start and finish point with a line.
It's actually a marathon, I think.
Oh, okay. So it's I'm going to say it looks quite large. So there's a line drawn on the map. It's obviously following through this city. And if you hover over the elevation, in this particular case, I'm assuming this is customizable, but a little red dot appears. And so wherever you look on the elevation map, you get a little red dot showing you where it is. That's absolutely extraordinary. I've seen things such as this in cycling apps. So things like Strava, they'll do this kind of thing for you. But I've never seen it on a WordPress website, and kind of assumed that was some amazingly clever proprietary technology, but no, here it is in a WordPress plugin. That's absolutely brilliant.
There's some, or a few, not many plugins who can do this, but they're very focused on in displaying this these elevation charts, for example. And our approach is to provide a a solution which is a mapping solution for WordPress, which does more than just one particular use case, but which you can build. You can build lots of different, or you can, let's say, you can use different use cases for maps. I hope you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, basically, I'm looking at a map which is done on OpenStreetMap, but in every sense of the word, it's fully featured. You know, it does all the things that you would want a map plugin to do. You know, like I said, you can cluster things, draw lines, draw random polygons enclosing certain areas. This altitude thing is simply incredible. I'm really liking that. You can customize the icons. When you hover over an icon, it tells you what it is, and when you click on it, it centers and it tells you more about it in a little, you know, the little pop-up window and so on. What I'm intrigued about at this point, because I've not actually played with the plugin on the WordPress backend, I'm interested to know. I know that you mentioned that you can import and export data in various different formats. So there's the option, you know, like a spreadsheet or the GPX files and so on and so forth. But should I wish to, like, let's say, for example, a client comes to me and says, I would like to build, I'm selling houses, and I would like you to build a map for me so that when my houses are for sale, I can simply put them on a map. I'm wondering what that would look like. What's the process that you have to go through to get the data on the map if you want to add it in one at a time?
Yeah, I can go through this. Just to tell your listeners, on demo.mapsmarker.com, you can also log into the backend and try it for yourself without having to install anything on your site. It gets reset every 30 seconds, 30 minutes.
Oh, yes, I see now. Yeah, it says click here to log in and create a demo.
Click here to log in. Yep. So if you're doing this now, I can give you a short impression. You first create a map. The current process is you create first a map and then add markers to this map.
Right.
So you click on add new map, then you say, type your where is the map located? Say, let's find a location. You say it's located in London, as is it now, as is the default. And you say, if you then click save, then you have the map which is currently set to OpenStreetMap as default. You can one step back. You have a default map. You set its center by using the integrated geocoding feature. Then you say how width and how high should the map be, or which zoom level should be used by default. These are the basic parameters you set with 3 clicks. And then you say, I want to have OpenStreetMap or another map. This can also be an initial configuration. You click save, and then your map container is finished. And then you say, okay, now I want to add a marker to this map. Then there's a link, add marker, which now gets you to the second page where you get an interface for adding markers. You set a name for this marker, also an address, again, which is geocoding supported. You enter your address like Main Street number 1, and it gets translated into longitude and latitude values.
And it's pretty good. The reliability of that is reasonable, is it? You know, if I let's try it. I will put my location. Oh no, it's probably not on that map. That probably won't work so well. I don't know.
Give it a try.
Okay. Let's give it a go. I'll put in my home address, and let's see what happens. Okay. Yes. Crikey! Look at that. That worked immediately. I mean, with Ajax, it was all coming up in real time.
It's all dynamically. Ajax is basic principle in our plugin to get the changes by default.
Very quick indeed. Yeah, as fast as I could type it, it was updating itself. And yep, there it is. And there, including my postcode, is my address now centered on the map. That was breathtakingly quick. Brilliant. Okay, so that solves that problem. Sorry, I interrupted. Carry on.
No problem. I was at the marker page. So you had the map. Then you said, I want to add one or multiple markers. So you go on the add marker page and add an a marker with a name,
Okay.
a location. You also can set a pop-up text, which is displayed when you click on the marker. You can add all kinds of HTML there, so images or only text or hyperlinks. It then gets displayed there by default, or if you click on it, and you save this marker and then add the shortcode of the map to where you want the map to appear on your site in a post page or widget or in a template file. It's shortcode based our plugin. So
yeah. Honestly, that was so easy. I didn't realize you could log in and do a demo, so I'm so pleased you found that for me. That took seconds. So basically, you set up a map, then you add multiple markers, then you copy and paste it really quite short. It says map marker equals like 12 or something in the shortcode brackets, and you're off to the races. That's so easy. One question I have with as an example, a typical use case in the one that I just mentioned, like a real estate agency map. It would be nice, and maybe this is possible, it would be nice, say, for example, if I was using a plugin like Advanced Custom Fields to create the custom fields for the house. It's got a street address, and it's got a picture, and it's got a name and number of bedrooms and all that kind of thing. Is it possible to combine the two things? So MapsMarker Pro can be linked in that custom post type of house. As I mentioned before, for those use cases, we have our database API, nice.
Which it needs some kind of one-time custom development to get the link between, because this is not something that is can be standardized, right, because it's different. But anyway, we have the database API, which supports all kinds of methods and functions in the plugin, like add map, update map, add markers, update markers, which can be triggered from a third-party tool like Advanced Custom Forms by some custom PHP code you can add to your functions PHP, for example, to update to add markers to a predefined map, for example. This is possible, yeah, but not by default. As per definition, it needs some coding, but it's right. Possible, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the purpose of this is to put a map complete with its own data onto a web page, isn't it? It isn't necessarily to combine it with another plugin, but it is possible if you're prepared to spend the time wrangling the code to get the API to do what it is that you need it to do. Looking at the site, obviously we've got MapsMarker Pro. Pro usually means that there's some kind of fee attached to it. It also kind of implies that there's possibly a free version, and I think there is, because there's a download free trial.
Let me explain. It started actually we had two versions. The free version, which was built 8 years ago, we actually sunsetted this version this year because the development grew too far apart to maintain two versions. They were too different after 8 years. So the free version is still available in the WordPress repository, but we don't recommend it anymore because we don't have the resources to maintain two different plugins, to be honest. We focused on this year. We said only security fixes will get to the free versions again, but no more features and bug fixes. But nevertheless, MapsMarker Pro is available for free for 30 days. We have the following business model, which we think is important. We don't like, or I personally don't like, subscription plugins where you have to pay each year. This is not something I prefer because I don't know how long I need a plugin. So we have a business model which actually offers a 30 days free trial, which you can start personalized or anonymized. So in an anonymized case, we only activate your domain. We don't know your email or something else. So the privacy, as I said before, is important to us. But we need, of course, the domain to check the license. And you can use the plugin 30 days and test it. If it fits your needs, you can install it. And after 30 days, the free trial, of course, doesn't work anymore. But once you decide to buy an unexpiring license, you can use the version you have without any time limitations. We do also include access to updates and support for 1 year, which is included by default in each package. And after 1 year, you can say, I want to renew my access to updates and support optionally, and then you get another updates for another year. But if you don't renew, you can still use the version you had at that time without any limitations. So that is very important for us. We don't have a subscription model because I think that's not very ethical to get some lock-in situation.
Yeah, well, that's really nice. So there are 3. If you go to I can't say the word.
MapsMarker.
That's right. Yeah, MapsMarker.com/pricing. You'll see that there's 3 licenses available.
Yeah, we have free pack. Our license is domain-based, so if you just need maps on one domain, you get a personal. You can get a personal package, which includes the only differentiation is from personal plus and professional is on how many sites you can use it, and the priority support is. But from the feature, it's all the same. On one, if you use it just on one site, it's currently €39, including access to updates and support for 1 year. Then we have a plus package for 5 sites with 99, and for 25 WordPress sites, it's 249. Including 1 year updates and support. You can also choose 3 years updates and support to get 10% off, or 5 years if you say I need it in the long term. You get 15% off by default.
Yeah, that's a nice model. We don't often see that actually. The idea that you can buy more years and get it cheaper up front, which is quite ingenious. I quite like that.
Yeah, some like it a lot because you don't have to think about it, and you get reminded by us, of course.
Yeah,
but you don't have to think you can.
So it's simply the number of sites. So personal is 1 site, €39. Plus is 5 sites, €99, and professional up to 25 sites, and that's 249. But as Robert said, the pricing will go down if you buy 3 years, 10% off, and if you go to 5 years, you're going to get 15% off. Just out of interest, because having experienced a little bit with maps in the past and trying to build them, I do know that you can get into the weeds a little bit when you are trying to connect. Let's say, for example, something like ACF to a mapping technology. Are you available? Do you have some sort of support system? I know that you've got support there. Are you available for sort of like things that are beyond support? Are you able to sort of help people, presumably for a fee, to achieve things which might be beyond what they're capable of doing things with your plugin that they know it can do, but they simply can't do it?
In general, we have a very supportive support crew, which tries to help as much as possible and give some code example if possible. But the actual project work based on our plugin, we don't have the resources yet. If perhaps I'll use this podcast if anyone wants. We have some partners we connect those requests to, but we are always looking for new partners who want to say, hey, I like your plugin. I would like to offer customizations and help your clients. So if you're in this business and interested in a win-win situation with us, get in contact with me. I'm always interested to be able to offer our customers a comprehensive solution, because we don't have the resources, to be honest, to provide. We were focusing on really developing the core set of the plugin and to make APIs and to make it extensible as possible, and then try to build an ecosystem where others can connect and build upon it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's really good to know. The just a nice little offer just before we end. Robert has very kindly said that for basically 1 month after the podcast airs, and I never know when the podcast episodes individually are going to come out, so I'm going to say 1 month from the date of publication, and I always say at the beginning of each episode what date it was published, so whatever it said at the beginning, 1 month after that, you can get 10% off. It says any license, any license at all, with the code WP builds, and it may not matter, but they are all capital letters and there are no spaces. Just out of interest, when you said any license, 10% off any license, does that include the sort of the 5 year and the 3 year options as well?
Also includes this, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Then even more of. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. That's a really generous offer. We're sort of fast approaching the amount of time that these podcasts tend to take. So what I'm going to do is ask you, Robert, is there anything that we failed to get to? Is there anything that you feel, I wish I'd said that? If so, go for it now. And if not...
Well, I didn't even have the chance to show all features because we have really a great feature set. I'll invite you to have a look at demo.mapsmarker.com to have a look by yourself, because we also have export features you can use. You can export your data in KML files to display them in Google Earth, for example, if you like this. Or we also optimized for search engine optimization. We have multi-language support with WPML and Polylang, so QR code supports and lots of other stuff which might be interesting to you too. So
yeah, if you go to mapsmarker.com/features, you'll be able to see a sort of representation of each of the things that Robert was talking about. And there's just too many to mention. I am so surprised that I haven't used this in the past and that it hasn't come across my radar much sooner.
Two points I think would like to mention nevertheless. We have talked about it as security and privacy is important for us. We're doing regular audits and penetration tests to also provide a secure plugin, which is important to us. We're on HackerOne, where you can get bugs, bounties for telling us
nice.
We've missed.
Yeah.
And we also, for privacy for us, means we do not store any of your data or transmit how many markers you have or any data, but we just have the data we need to check the license and nothing else. The data is yours and it's only a server data sovereignty. Sovereignty is important for us, so you have full control of your geolocation data you have on your site.
And I think that's a really interesting position, because it's not often on a plugin website I come across one of the features being moral code, which I think is really interesting. And so Robert has gone to the he's added that as one of the features on the website. So it says, when it comes to security and privacy and documentation, the team behind MapsMarker Pro doesn't compromise. And there's a link over to about-os where you can find out more about that position. And obviously your commitment to things like
we try to do our best.
Yeah, and the Open Government Project and all of those kind of things is admirable. Where can we find you online other than that URL? Is there an email, a Twitter, or something that you generally tend to give out?
Yeah, MapsMarker is also available on Twitter at MapsMarker, just Maps, like the domain MapsMarker. If you're interested in the development process, or you can follow us there too. We're very much appreciated. And on Facebook, we're there with MapsMarker also, where we have an additional channel to reach out to our customers. As you said, that two more things. We also have, in case you like our plugin, say, hey, it's really great, I would like to recommend it to others. We have affiliate program where you can receive up to 50% commissions for every sale, and also a reseller program for agencies, for example, who want to resell it on their conditions to their customers. We also have an offer for them. Just have a look at the footer of our website where you'll find more information about this.
That is great. So my strong advice, if listening to this has made you sort of think this all sounds intriguing, but I really need to see it, because after all, it's a map.
Yeah, it's a map.
Go to demo.mapsmarker.com, and then if you want to figure out how on earth that map was put together, click on the link right above the map. It's very big. It says click here to log in and create a demo map, and that will take you all of 5 seconds to figure out. So go and do that, and let's have some comments and see if we can get the conversation going about MapsMarker. Robert, thanks for joining us on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having the opportunity to share our product and have a try. I'm really looking forward. And if any questions, support, as said before, support is important for us. Don't hesitate to ask any questions. Use the contact form or the help desk. We will be glad to answer any additional questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed that. Always nice to chat about something new, and we haven't really talked about maps too much before. If you do go over to the MapsMarker website, as I said at the top of the show, and use the code WPBuilds, you'll be able to get yourself 10% off everything until the 6th of September 2020. So that seems like a good deal. It really is a complete comprehensive solution to mapping, and Robert, as you may have spotted, takes your security and privacy extremely seriously. The WP Builds podcast was brought to you today by A/B Split Test. Do you want to set up your A/B Split Test in record time? The new A/B Split Test plugin for WordPress will have you up and running in a couple of minutes. Use your existing pages and test anything against anything else. Buttons, images, headers, rows, anything. And the best part is it works with Elementor, Beaver Builder and the WordPress block editor. You can check it out and get a free demo at absplittest.com. Okay, just before we go, a reminder of what we do. This is a Thursday podcast episode, so we'll have another one for you this time next week. We'll be back on Monday for the WordPress weekly news, 7 a.m. UK time, and also the live at 2 p.m. UK time. And I'll be joined by Sabrina Zidane at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, talking about installing plugins and getting our plugin recognized in the wider WordPress community. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. I'm now going to fade in some cheesy music and say bye-bye for now.